Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Terra Invicta. This is the game that we're having a look at today and adding into rotation, much to some people's pleasure I'm sure. I've covered this on and off since it came out, tail end of last year. I really love it. This is one of my sort of favourite games that's come out in recent times. It seems to be on sale at the moment, not the deepest sale, but you know, you can get it on the cheap. It's very, very ambitious, right? It's being published by Hooded Horse, who more and more everything that they publish is good. Like, essentially, it's a good rubber stamp that if they're publishing it, it's probably worth checking out. It's being made by the dudes that actually did the Long War mod for XCOM, so that's the pedigree. They went from making it one of the biggest, most reputed mods in this space, and then they've turned and pivoted into their own game. What it does is, it is very much of that XCOM alien invasion and Earth's reaction to it space, broad genre, concept. This deals much more with the sort of non-tangible aspects of political intrigue and personnel interplay, right? So there's governments on the planet and there's secret organizations. You essentially helm a secret organization pulling the strings. So you're not necessarily married to any particular country other than geolocation. There's a lot of moving parts. It's very heavy sim and it's very, very slow burn. It is a first contact scenario and it's about, well, what happens there? How do all the factions interact? Even getting things like shipyards built for space, because all this has to be done in space, is a huge agonizing thing because you start in current year, but we don't really have the technology for simple material uplift. So even just developing the technology to build in an orbit, to build warships and all that is a huge thing, and it's quite rewarding when you build your way up to it. Anyway, so that's a little bit of a front load. We'll go modern scenario, full solar system, all the defaults. The Resistance is kind of the default faction, right? You can play all the others, but it's almost like these are constructed as ideological AI antagonists to the Resistance is probably the best way of thinking about it, but they all sort of represent a philosophical or rather ideological way of dealing with an alien incursion, right? The Servants being an extreme that they want to just submit to the aliens. There's ones that want to try and live on equal ground. Humanity First is very extremist, and in the Resistance, you can see protect humanity by resisting the alien invasion. It's very much a default position. We don't need a tutorial. We're going to start up. So yeah, like I said, I think I did an overview earlier in the year, just broadly, and a lot of people were actually kind of disappointed that I didn't turn it into a playthrough. And I thought, well, you know, seems like as good a time as any. We're kind of pivoted the channel back towards playthroughs. Though I am featuring a lot more new games. I forever sit in this place where I like the idea of doing a long play, but I also like the idea of shouting out new and interesting games with my platform. And it's going to be an eternal struggle. But that's more of a me problem. That's more of a behind the curtains. For now, we'll play some Terra Invicta. And if you do like it and you want it to turn into a longer series and more episodes, etc., please do make sure you drop a comment, let me know. Otherwise it'll be a one and done. Though I don't anticipate it being the case, people. Like I said, there is a growing niche of people that really love these sort of games. And I'm
remember
amongst
the day the stars answered, the day we learned we were not alone. As a familiar sun rose on an unfamiliar universe, some of us saw wondrous possibility and others existential danger. The astronomers had insisted that the bright streak in the sky was no natural phenomenon. Most of us didn't really believe them until it burned through our atmosphere and crashed in a remote region, leaving only wreckage and uncertainty.
Yeah, right.
In our ignorance, we fractured, taking refuge in our most primal emotions. Each of us saw what we wanted to see. Everyone loves heroes, depends on them, to save us from evil, lead us through darkness. Problem is, real heroes are always ignored. What no one understands is that being shot at is easy. The hard part is convincing someone they're drowning.
Yeah, I mean,
before it's too damn late.
I get what you're saying. It's easy to say that when you've never been shot at, isn't it, love? Anyway, okay, so it's absolutely first contact scenario. It drops randomly. And like all these factions, they're going to have wars with each other. They're going to interact, but you can leverage your sort of influence behind the scenes. You can do wild stuff. I took over North Korea and started nuking South Korea just because I could, just to see what happened. Didn't go down very well. The rest of the world didn't like that. It was a bit of a suicide ticket, but that's it's cool that you've got that, right? So you can mobilize armies and go to war and that sort of stuff. Dislodging other factions can be a bit of a pain. It actually has a lot in common with a board game called Twilight Struggle, if you've ever played that. It's really good sort of Cold War simulator where you're cooing each other's territories to try and seize locational control. Then you do a bit of that in this. Okay, UFO crashes on Earth. An alien vessel has crashed down in the Nairobi region in Kenya. All right. While the wreckage is unrecoverable, we suspect an alien life form escaped, into the surrounding countryside.
Greetings, Commander. I am pleased to report the Council has appointed you leader of our organization. I am Fiona Ayawade, your Chief of Staff.
Lucky me.
While most of the world is reacting with fascination at the arrival of an alien species on Earth, we represent a small group who believes the aliens' crash landing and disappearance may signify a potential threat.
Good,
We
yes.
intend to build an international organization capable of investigating and, if necessary, combating any danger aliens may pose.
Okay. I recommend we send a counsellor to investigate the crash site in Nairobi as soon as possible. Now, other counsellors may be best used in trying to gain influence in nations that may be able to contribute resources to our cause. Yeah, so that's one way of looking at it. It's almost like an extortion racket in a way, at least functionally, that we control them with our influence and we skim off the top the various different resource incomes, right? Cool. So here we go. Investigate alien crash. Now, the way it starts is you start with 2 counsellors, and because I'm in Australia, the game sort of reads a component of your registry, which is kind of cute, if not invasive. So depending on where you are, one of your counsellors will be guaranteed to come from your region, right? And then we've got Evgeny Kulikov. So what do we got here? You're a politician, and you're a diplomat. This is investigate alien activity.
What's the op?
One of them is guaranteed to start with it, I believe, so we can do that mission. So all we're going to do is we're going to click on Arvel. We're going to say investigate alien activity. We can press tab. There's only one crash site. You could pull it down from here, but it could get busy later on. It requires ops, which you can see here is one of our resources available, which is, well, you can read it there. It's the able to do small-scale combat and espionage operations, right? Got other things like influence, and then you've got more tangible stuff like credits, right? But then boost income. Boost is very important, but very hard to come by. That's the amount of tonnage. There you go, 10 metric tons of material to Earth's low orbit via rocket. And that's pretty cool. And then once you hypothetically have mining ships and stations and that up in orbit, you can start mining asteroid fields. You don't need to uplift supplies from Terra, which is pretty cool. But one thing at a time.
We'll recon the site.
We'll dispatch you to recon. Now you, meanwhile, Evgeny, what are you good at? He's got really good perception. No, persuasion is what it is, sorry. What abilities have you got? Control Nation is very strong, and that's probably what we're going to focus on at the beginning. So if you go Control Nation, you can tab through all the different nations, and it gives you an idea. And a lot of it, you can see the size of the national economy is a huge offset. He has a 6% chance of controlling a part of Russia. Very unlikely. So going for smaller nations is usually Senegambia, for example, is usually the go. Singapore, 37%, not that bad. You can see as well, depending on their sort of GDP, they have different control points. So Singapore, he wouldn't take total control, he would take partial control. Whereas if we go through, well, there's Slovakia, Somalia. Okay, here we go. South Africa has 3 points of control, right? Also, having boost technology is kind of rare, but kind of awesome if you can get a hold of it. It's probably not going to happen. And it's usually easier to manufacture closer to the equatorial location on the planet, what with the way that orbital launches work. So here you go. Sweden, part of the European Union. That's the other thing as well. You can break unions. You can create factions, right? You can take over all of Oceania and turn them into like a super pact sort of thing. So the game has some really interesting speculative stuff because it's obviously on the edge of modern times. And I think it does really well to speculate on what I suppose you could call like close sci-fi. Usually it's about hover cars and all this sort of crap in the Jetsons in the future, but this is dealing with, the next 10 years if something like this happened. Anyway, it's pretty cool. Taiwan. Tajikistan. Yeah, cool. So what else you can also do here is pull down this menu. You can have a look at them in descending order. So like there's a 98% chance I could take Madagascar. You can also commit influence to it to increase your chances, right? So you sort of need a plan. There's also this up here, this component worth considering, which is our management control. So we can hold up to 130 points against our cap, and beyond that you get severely penalized, right? So if I take a whole bunch of little countries, I could probably have a lot of them chipping away, or I could try and take over, I don't know, like France or something like that, but they would have a huge control point stake. So there are limits to be aware of. I mean, yeah, up in Costa Rica, North Korea. Don't, Scarlet. Why do you always come back to it? I don't know. Whatever. The heart wants what the heart wants. Cuba. Oh, that'd be rough. New Zealand. Yuck. Disgusting. Where's Australia? Australia's right down the bottom. Look at that. I don't know, maybe we'll just pick up some little economies like that for starters. Madagascar.
We'll bring this nation to our side.
Cool. So something else that we potentially might want to do is expand our council. We've got other council seats. So these are our 2 starters. We could recruit. Now this is all very luck of the draw. 30 and 60 are usually the costs, and you can see we don't really have a lot of influence anyway. Right now, and you can sack them. They can die. They can get assassinated. There's all sorts of James Bond stuff going on. But having persuasion would be pretty good. Persuasion 5, 8. An activist. He has control nation. How many of your councillors can perform a mission? Oh, okay, right. So you could use this to try and sort of multitask, which is, it's kind of tempting, but like at the beginning, there's only so much that you sort of need. Maybe we play that way, actually. So you can see these are all her jobs. Steel project. Okay, cool. 2. 1, 2, 3. Oh, wow. Wow, she can do a lot, can't she? A kingpin. So can you, operative. Geez, you can probably do even more by the look of it. I might hire you, Zhang Hai Fei, who is an operative. Okay, we'll do that. If only just to have more tools in my tool basket, right? And we could recruit one more, but I won't have the influence for it. So, but she might not necessarily be able to do a whole lot, but snakering up was a pretty cool little something. Investigate council. Wow, she has so many party tricks. Investigate alien activity. You know what, actually? Let's get her straight on. We'll use her to do that. You have councillors sign. Are you sure? No. No. Investigate.
We'll see what we can find.
And what we'll do is...
Your orders?
He can control a nation, so... Where were we controlling? Madagascar, wasn't it? Because what we might actually do is try and lock out the whole area. Oops, Steam overlay. I don't necessarily want to... I wish there was a shortcut to go to Madagascar quickly. You know what I mean?
We'll bring this nation to our side.
I mean, I can click here anyway, but you know what I mean, like a shortcut. So, what if I were to go 49%? What is that technically? It's part of France. Oh. The Ratnakaran states. Look at that. So this is sort of more of a collection of those islands. Oh, wow. Well, what if we go for Mozambique? 80%? That's kind of doable.
Taking control.
Yeah, right. So, because they'll be able to have like treaties and stuff like that you can force behind the scenes. Anyway, a little bit of a slower grind. I know I'm kind of overviewing again. While I'm at it, let's look at tech. Tech is really interesting, okay? So down here is our research for our base, and you can see the projects that we have are probably best described as similar to how, you know, in the Civilization games, I haven't played one in a while, where if you haven't really got a project, you can say just generate gold for this turn, right? That's sort of what these are. They're just resource generators. They don't really do anything, and each time you spend it, it will tier up and level up. But at the moment, that's all we've got. We will unlock more projects as we go. These are the 3 world projects that's going on, and these are all the factions contributing to it. If you click the tech tree, it's wild for starters, and then this is only the limited tech tree. If you go to the full tree, my computer will probably brick itself. All right, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, right? But here's the thing. Here's the party trick, and what makes it so cool is you can choose if you want to contribute to the research. And it's just sort of comparative scaling. That's how this works. Budgetary stuff. You can see 75. I could zero that, and I could put my entire research budget into that. Or I could do that and see it starts balancing it out. Maybe 67, 1/3, right? So it's just a balancing thing. Once one of these finishes, whoever contributes the most at the end gets to choose the next tech. And it's very clever. At the moment, honestly, I don't really care, because why would I? I don't have self-interest at the moment. So I'll just put 100% of my budget into whatever this default is. But it's cool to just know how research works. All right, we should finally be able to pull the trigger. Once you've got your head around a lot of this sort of stuff, it's all pretty straightforward. Unpause, turn it right up. If anything interesting happens, it should pause us, or it should. We have a new objective, alien crash site. Yeah. Okay. Select management team, right? So lobbyists and influencers, resistance monthly influence increases, monthly research income, monthly ops increase, or money. You know, let's go scientists and engineers, right? So you're sort of starting to lay out broadly
We found something.
your prospectus in a way, right? Your mission, your mission, I suppose. Investigate alien technology complete. I have learned some useful information from my investigation at UFO crashdown site in Kenya. We'll receive a small boost to our xenology research going forward. Cool.
We'll be ready for new orders soon.
Completed the investigation alien crash objective. Yeah, that was our mission. Despite heavy security, we were able to obtain some surveillance records of the crash site, as well as a small quantity of debris. We should have a project ready for research shortly. Right, we gained some stuff. That's kind of cool. You can see here, campaign objectives, research alien signatures. It won't necessarily be available just yet. General objectives. Build the council, so some stuff to keep you on rails, right? Let's see if we've got that project unlocked. No, but we will. We will. It doesn't say here, but that xenology boost, probably when we investigate alien signatures, you'll see we'll have like a 1% boost. UN Security Council meets. Obviously, the world's moving its pieces as well. It's not just my secret society. The UN Security Council is met to discuss the alien arrival. Unfortunately, the hoped-for show of international unity did not materialise, with China, Russia and the United States accusing each other of hiding knowledge about the alien crash and preventing full access to the site. We have an opportunity to shape events to our advantage, even make our case directly to the nations of the world. However, with the eyes of the world on these meetings, our councillors' risks of exposure to enemies is extremely high. So we can sort of come out swinging and say, hey, we're the new kids on the block. Here's our sort of, manifesto. But what we'll probably do is we'll go remain in the shadows. Nothing happens, but like if you were to deliver the manifesto, we'll get a massive influence injection. That's tempting. Public opinion boost goes up, and a lot of information about me gets leaked to my enemies. Quietly steer. Maybe we'll do that because I wouldn't mind buying another counsellor. Let's do it. Let's go middle ground. And you can see the Protectorate, they've laid it all out.
With us and determine how to satisfy them.
No one else did, by the look of it. We've taken control of Madagascar, which is cool. Our counsellor's been spotted in Madagascar. Who was that? Evgeny? Now, it's early days, but it's still AI behaviour. It would be unusual for them to try and snatch him or assassinate him, but who knows, right? We just don't know at this point yet. All right, we've unlocked that alien signature project. Take me there. And we're going to queue it up now that we've actually got a project we want to do. We studied the recovered samples to learn how to detect alien activity. Allows faction to detect alien abductions on Earth, right? Select project, and there's our 1% boost. And that's why you want to investigate crash sites and all that. It is very much an investigate. It can be just combat only, but I like leaning into the almost, it's not Star Trek, but that spirit where it is more about the sciences and the investigative arm of it, the intrigue, the curiosity before just bang, bang, bang. We've got our full budget going into that, so that's fine. Cool. Unpause. Enemy counsellor detected. What are they doing? They're in the Philippines. Interesting. Okay. Sure.
We've gained significant support.
We've taken Mozambique, which is good. One humanity. The growing realization that we are not the sole sapient species in the universe is causing many to see their fellow humans in a new light, leading to hopes that we can overcome our capacity for strife to address the alien arrival as one people. Let us try to set aside our differences and go forward together. Wave of fear. All nations gain one cohesion. So the moving parts of a nation is very complex, right? Let's take Mozambique, for example. So if we go priorities, this is, now that we control the only pip, I think it might cover it well. Essentially, Madagascar's core will allocate points automatically to these different parts of its budget, right? And some are more obvious than others. Military is military spending and potentially scaling up the quality of the military. So whether it's some 1970s scrapper or it's future tech, welfare, knowledge, unity, and they all have huge interplay and they affect things like GDP. You've got how cohesive the nation is. What else you got? Well, you've got per capita GDP. You've got an inequality component. What's the unrest level, the type of government, all of this gets shifted around by allocating these pips. But essentially, we get to skim a bit off the top and we can gently allocate some of those pips since we control a point, right? So we don't have total control over Madagascar or anything for that matter, but when you do take control of these points, you can take the excess 10% or something like that points and you can allocate them as you see fit to sort of drive it in a certain direction. Now resist is the default, but there are all bunch of different defaults, and depending on the factions, they all use them by, well, default, but you can customize it as well. And you can see you get these flags when, like, spoils is essentially the higher class and what they expect, right? So it really depends on what you want to do. Space flight program, I mean, they just don't even have a flight program. You can see that this is a one-time thing. For the nation, domestic space flight program, the campaign start will unlock the boost and mission control priorities once completed. So I was talking about how we really want boost if possible. Well, Madagascar doesn't even have a spaceflight program, so you'd have to budget pretty hard on that. You can also put direct investment in, which is just a lot of money for tiny little movements of the needle, but that's an option as well. What we might do for the moment is we will because you can see, just like the research budget, it's a relative percentage. Right. Military needs more spending. We might just do that to just try and placate everything, right? Warning symbol will accompany the priority if unrest is increasing in the nation or if it is in a civil war, right? So subversion, there's all sorts of things. You can try long-term stuff. Unrest in the nation will change absent unusual circumstances. Violent resistance to the political status quo, right? Unrest is fed by low cohesion and low quality of life per capita GDP. So, and if you go over to cohesion, like this is all very, like some people are going to just switch off. They're not going to like this, but others are going to lose their mind, right? Inequality is high, but there's the education cohesion, right? And it will tell you in here how to shift it. Cohesion increases per 2 investment points in the unity priority. It changes by 0.01 towards the value of 5 per 2 investment points in the knowledge priority. So that's interesting. So the higher the knowledge, the more it shifts towards 5. So that's either up or down. It sort of normalizes. So what are we taking away from that? Unity and knowledge is probably what's going to help cohesion, and that's going to probably help combat subversion. All right, we get it? Got it? But for the moment, I'm just going to leave it like that. And you can also see we've got 7 out of 137 pips, so we've got plenty more space to control more nations, etc. Let's recruit someone else into the council. That's why we leaked our manifesto. Let's see what else we can. Inspire. 0. Inspire. Hostile takeover. Tech mogul. That's kind of cool. Hostile takeover. Inspire. I like the idea of hostile takeover being something that we could do. The Kingpin can do it as well, can't they? Yeah. She's just got so many stats, so many abilities. Let's get her on. Fong Yuen Truong. I love it. Let's get her in. Done. Big Fong. Now we can unlock these with certain techs, but for the moment this is our crew. Alright, these are our operatives. I'm ready to get started. Good.
Standing by.
That's what we might do. And you can see at a glance, you don't have to use the tab, you don't have to use the pull down. We can see in our sort of region. Oh, look at this. These guys already snaked, the initiative snaked the Ratnikran states or whatever. So we might even have to coup them out. So once they've got control of an area, it becomes very, very difficult to take it off them. So you have to do all sorts of subversive stuff to snatch it back. But for now, 87%, let's do that.
Bringing them to our side.
Evgeny.
Where do you need me?
Let's maybe jump in there. Get Zambia, Malawi.
Putting our people in place.
Now,
Ready to go.
you can do lots of things, but not necessarily what I need just yet. What I'll do is I'm going to put her on surveil over here. See if we can notice
I'm here.
Who's there. Look at that, assassinate. We can even just kill other people's targets outright. But she can control nation. Delicious. I mean, she's not very good at it. And that'll be her, there you go, her persuasion's only 2. But still. What we can do is commit influence to at least, there you go, 65%. That's fine.
We'll bring this nation to our side.
Okay, cool. We've got that set. We've got our research set. Confirm assignments.
We believe we can join them as brothers and sisters.
The Academy encountered.
Convince them we are worthy.
Right, so they're trying to appeal to the...
They are here to cleanse our sick world.
Nope.
Setting a watch.
So she's surveilling the location. Wonderful. Now it's ticking along and we're sort of just trying to take over this entire continent from the south. Slow and steady. However, like,
We've got
our boost ability is going to be very, very limited. So, what's the long play? I don't know. Maybe we just continue to just spew up into the north of the continent, and I'm going to placate as many of the needs at first, like spoils and military, and try and modernize them before maybe we start pushing towards things like boost. I don't know if we'd go straight for space programs so much as maybe we just aggressively build their economies. Not sure. We might just turn the entire continent into like a sort of first world superpower. That might be a play, but I don't really know if that will work for us, right? Cool. So we've taken control of Zambia, Malawi,
We'll be ready for new orders
and I think
soon.
resource regions gives bonus to a nation's economic priority, but also causes greater increase in inequality and environmental damage. Don't care. Not on the top of my list. All right, cool. Very wordy, very explanatory, but ultimately once you get the systems, a lot of it is plug your dudes in, press go, deal with it, right? Which is like a Civ sort of game, right? Like there is a lot of moving parts and a lot to understand, but then when you know what you're doing in execution, there's a lot of just press the go button until something happens. Anyway, I love this game. I love it to death. I'm not sure how it's going to go on the channel right now, and hopefully it's well received. If you want to see more episodes, you got to let me know. Drop a comment, that sort of thing. I'd be happy to keep it in rotation. I love this game to death, but I understand it's not for everyone either. Anyway, team, might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.